All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. I am here with my good friend and client, Nick. Nick, you came on, I guess about a month and a half, 2 months ago now. I just kind of want to spend this time to dive into your progress so far, what's kind of happened, what you've loved, what you maybe haven't loved, how you found my British bluntness, all that good stuff. So can you just give us like a bit about who you are, where you've come from, where you were before the program? Like, just give us everything.
Yeah, definitely. Me personally, I've been kind of working in a sales and marketing aspect the last 15 years, really. Worked for a large roofing contractor. I did all kinds of marketing, recruiting for hiring their sales teams or inbound, outbound leads. So I've always had that going with it.
Hmm.
As of recent, the last 4 years, I switched careers into the mortgage industry, worked more in that kind of B2B aspect of helping guys with sales and marketing, and I found myself that I'm constantly, going back to that marketing game. All along, I've always had a love and passion for videography and photography. I do freelance motocross photos and videos on the side. And I was doing,
Hell yeah.
odd end projects for people. So it kind of came to a point. I'm like, you know what? I'm doing this to help make a paycheck somewhere else. Why don't I just do this full time and make it my paycheck? Kind of summer of 2024, I had that little epiphany and really started just baby stepping things to put it together. Got a couple odd end freelance projects and wasn't putting all my effort into it. And then by the winter, I really saw potential that I can do it. I knew I had it, but I was kind of at the point of I know I have all these different skill sets and facets from the sales aspect, the marketing. I know how socials work, I know how to film, but it was just kind of putting it all together, putting those pieces of the puzzle together and kind of having that structure is what I was really lacking and where I was struggling with. I dump all the focus on one side and everything else would lack. I wasn't consistent with content. It was chasing and I was trying to, build something more sustainable. I didn't want to do just one-off projects here and there. I wanted to work with people, build a relationship. I'm a talker, if you can't tell. I like talking. I like having that relationship. So that's where I started kind of looking and going across and trying to figure out how do I put all this together. Yeah. Um, I came across the program. I was probably like a lot of other people, just kind of cruising the internet on Instagram. The algorithm picked it up, and I was getting hit left and right by how many different coaches and gurus with all the crazy production videos of I'll scale you to 100 grand and do this. And in
Yeah.
in the past, I've looked into them. I've probably taken 5 or 6 coaching calls in the last year of talking with some of these guys. And what really threw me off is you'd see the video, you'd be chatting with someone, and the next thing you know, you got someone random. Technically, it wasn't like a direct connect to that person.
Hmm.
Or even I get people have setters and they have people working for them, but even the initial phone call wasn't with the actual coach. It was with so I personally didn't like that. I was looking for someone that I can work with directly, that's kind of in my shoes or been there and seen it. I came across Ben's ad of just a dude chilling reading a book saying he's waiting for people. So I was intrigued by it. I started checking out some YouTube videos. And in one of your videos, you mentioned, hey, hit me up for a free call, just to chat through things. And that's really where it started. Um, it was a really refreshing experience because first and foremost, it was actually you I was talking to, which was pretty
Hmm.
cool.
Yeah.
Haven't had that experience before, but then just yeah, your British bluntness, your straight up approach. You were just down to earth and genuine. It wasn't let's hop on and I'm gonna hear you just ramble something and say yeah. Let me tell you what I got. It wasn't that. I mean, I think in our first call you were like, I really don't want to pitch you.
Yeah, I remember.
It
Yeah.
was kind of like that honesty. I got off the call and I'm like, holy hell, he actually he listened to me, talked to me, gave me some tips and feedback. But at the end of the day, he was straight up and honest with me, and that was kind of an eye opener. And I was like, you know what? I need to work with someone like this, that he isn't just grabbing the dollars. He actually is genuinely caring about the input to it and who he's working with. And then I think I tracked you down the next, I mean, it had to be like 4 days later, 5 days later.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey man, can we jump on another call real quick? And then, and the next thing you know, I'm giving payments and we're off to the races. But um, yeah, it was hard because in the last year, like I said, I've gone through so many coaching people, and it's like it comes down to the brass tacks of what am I investing, what am I putting into it.
Yeah.
um and it was refreshing to hear from you because it wasn't just here's like a cookie cutter setup that I'm going to give you necessarily, right? it was kind of what was the word that it was getting the clarity of it was the big
Yes.
piece to it. I knew all these different assets and pieces and how things should work, the general idea, but it was again putting it all together in a structure, in a system that actually is benefiting me versus kind of chasing my tail constantly around. I mean, I've learned a ton. What I thought I knew was a tip of the iceberg, and just it exploded in the last couple months we've been working, which is phenomenal. I'm learning stuff every single day. Nothing has been, I already know this. I've tried this. I've done it before. And it really, it just comes down to a system and structure, and kind of making yourself commit to that. So at
Yeah.
the end of the day, I mean, there's tons of free resources. You can do it. Someone can rip anyone's course off, but if you don't actually do the work and do the inputs, that's where it comes down to. So part of it is a personal journey. I felt the last years I had to work through some things like that and understanding it's not that I'm lacking something. It's this, I'm not having that sense of clarity and putting myself forward to do it.
Gotcha.
And then at the same time, having someone who's walked it, lived it, breathed it, and is able to be a sounding board. That really was the big piece I wanted. I did look at another coaching course, but it was just, here's our course, go watch 10 videos and have fun. There was no actual personal interaction.
Right.
The community sucked. There was hundreds of people, and I think I chatted with two of them over the course of 3 months because just no one was active. So that was for me what I wanted. I wanted something active. I can talk with people. What are you doing? How are you doing it? Again, I like talking and just networking with people. It's what I've done for the last 15 years, so it just comes naturally.
Yeah.
But
But
yeah, that's kind
that's
of
what I
what.
really liked about you joining is because you came from such an extensive sales and marketing background. You had like, 80% of the puzzle pieces, right? And
Yeah.
you just needed the last two to piece everything together to unlock that next level.
Yeah, yeah, and that literally is what happened. I'll be honest. The first month it was kind of like, all right, let me see. It was a completely different mentality and focus of what I thought I needed to be focusing on. So
Yes,
it kind of threw me for a loop at first. I'm like, all right, this is not what I was tracking on. But again, everything I've been doing of what I thought was right hasn't worked out and wasn't there. So I
exactly.
had to come to a point of just drop the wall and just almost blind faith, right? Because I invested in you. I'm listening to your feedback and your advice. Like I need to do everything and just see what happens, right? You keep, one of my favorite quotes you throw out is nothing changes if nothing changes.
Yeah,
And
amen.
I've kind of taken that on almost as a little mantra, and I've even used it with some clients. I had a call yesterday. I talked to a guy, and I'm like, "Listen, you don't have to go with me, but you tell me you want to scale your business. Nothing's going to change if nothing changes. What are you going to do if you don't use me? You have to figure out something. So if you're worried about the investment, that's great, but based on what we've talked about, this seems like a good fit. So it really does apply in so many aspects, and yeah, it was that first month of kind of stumbling through, of building the personal brand. I went at it as I need to be a company and I'm this and I do that, but their approach then became, no, I am the brand, I am the company. Yeah, I have my
Precisely.
organization, right? But that was the huge switch, and it was a lot more Nick being out there and pushing and doing that aspect of it. There was that fear of, God, everyone that I know is going to see this, or people that I went to high school with are going to see that, like I'm 36,
Yeah.
but I'm still worried about people from, I don't want to fucking high school. But what's funny about it is through the program working with it, a buddy that I went to high school with, I just had that awesome call with him yesterday, and it's going to be a very good setup. So, yeah, there's part of that is you have to break that wall down for yourself personally, get past it, and now
For
you
sure.
have a network and framework and community that is really in the same boat as you, pushing you along, and that's what's been so cool the last couple months is that it's always progressive, it's always moving, nothing is stale,
Awesome.
and you're constantly reiterating, right? It's not the same thing we were talking about month one. Those principles apply, but we're looking at it in different ways. We're breaking it down differently, or something new is coming into the mix, and it's just enhancing what we already did. It's
Yes.
not it's not week to week. Oh, this didn't work. Pivot. Go do this. Or okay, go do this. I'm sorry, I can't help. It's never been anything like that, which is cool. But at the same time, you're super straightforward and blunt. Like you called me out in the beginning, like, hey, these posts you're doing, stop using Chat GPT and copying and pasting. You gotta bring, like
Yeah.
you were very blunt and honest. It wasn't just, feeding me what I wanted to hear and making me feel happy.
Yeah.
It broke me down in one week. I'm like, damn, like I gotta really rethink this. But that's where it came back, is you have to actually want this and put that effort into it. Nothing
Yeah,
is
and
just going to happen for you, you know?
I think that's why you've had such great success is because you have just come in and detached the ego, listened, and just done the fucking work day to day. And
Yeah.
like, I
Yeah.
appreciate how hard it is with the situation you're in. You're also a dad and also like running a business. Like, I'm in the exact same boat. Like, there's only so many hours in the day, but
Yeah.
you've still just like come in, done the fucking work, joined group coaching calls, done the single calls with me, gone through the modules. When I've thrown shit at you, you've just got it done. You've
Yep.
taken things on the chin and just been resilient. And like, that's literally what it takes to be an entrepreneur. Like, we live in an age where we don't have an information problem. Like, everything I teach in
Right.
the program, you can find it online. Everything I teach you, you can find it online. The problem is you're also going to find 12 other strategies that might work.
Yep.
And unless you have clarity on exactly what you should be doing, you're just going to be sporadic across everything.
Well, and that's exactly what was happening, is you're right. I mean, between YouTube, find these people, just guys that put free tips on Instagram, whatever it might be, it's just a wealth of information. Chat GPT, you can look stuff up. I mean, but when you have so much stuff coming at you, you don't know what to grab onto. So it's
Yeah,
you start doing a little bit of everything, 10%, 10%, 10%, and then it just breaks. You're not actually making progress, you're just treading water. And that's what was happening to me for a few months before we started connecting and talking. So no,
so
there is a huge value to just getting someone to give you that structure, and like you said, put those few pieces back together.
precisely. I think that's the best thing a coach can give you is clarity.
Yep.
You touched on the community aspect there. Like, what do you think of the community, the other people in the program?
The community's awesome because everyone really is in the same mentality and mindset, is what I'm finding. You know, there's a couple folks I think that we haven't seen interact too much, but then they pop in and it's like, okay, you are actually on
Yeah,
the same wavelength as us, you know. Some people like me are just a little more chatty, you know. We like to talk about it, but it's cool because I've actually connected with a lot of other videographers and business owners now that are in the same boat as me. Yeah, one guy, Louis, he's in Wales, but I mean, it's cool chatting because it's a very similar journey that we're all going through.
exactly.
Even though we're thousands of miles apart, it's cool to have a soundboard more than just the coach, because you have that confidence that someone else is going through it. I'm there with you.
Yes.
And let's talk. And it's even nice to see too. You get comments and feedback like, "Oh man, this new ad or this new post that you put up, way better than the old one. Awesome to see that you did that." You know, you're getting
That's
that
sick.
positive reinforcement, and that was really cool to have too. Yeah, I wasn't expecting that.
What do you think of the Wins channel?
Oh, the Wins channel is awesome. It lights a fire too. You know, because
Yeah.
even for me, you know, if you're having a rough couple days and it's like, I pitched this guy and you know he turned it down, or I didn't get this going that way. You see 4 or 5 people popping off of, I got 3 meetings booked, I threw this proposal out there, and then it kind of becomes a game. It's like, all right, I want to get on that board too, you know. So being a sales background mentality, that's it clicks with me, because you know you're gonna let Joe Schmo over here beat you in sales this week. Go get it, you know. And then you put up there, I just sent a proposal for 6K, you know, like,
Yeah.
here we go, guys. And it's like, yes, you know, it's a cool aspect to it, you know. And I know it doesn't jive with a lot of people, but even in general, if you're not someone that thrives off of that, I think it helps because you can see we're all doing and following a similar structure in a sense,
Yeah.
and that you
Yeah.
know there's confidence that it is working, right? Everyone's going to be unique, you know. Where I'm at in Chicago is a way different market than, I'm going to use Louis again, in North Wales. It's a way different market, way different demographics, but we're going at it, attacking it in similar ways, and things that are
Yes.
working for him can work for me and vice versa. So you can see the wins, you can understand it, and it's like, okay, what is he doing that maybe I'm not doing, or I can tweak a little bit to implement into my business. And that's what's huge. The wins really push it that way for sure.
That's the beautiful thing about the community is like collectively we're all spending like hundreds, if not thousands a day on ads. So
Yeah.
we're all getting so much as a community, we're getting so much data back on what's working, what's getting results, and that's just all shared internally about how we can improve the ads, how we can improve X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
So before you joined, like what was the idea of success of what you wanted to get out of the program? Because I know we're nowhere near the end, we're like halfway through. Um, what did you look at and think, I really hope I get this out of it, and what were you expecting?
Um, I mean, at first, you know, you see it so much. You know, coaches and everyone put out there, oh, we'll scale you to 10K a month. We'll do this. We'll do 20K. Man, I would I was lucky if I was like, hey, if I can make like $1,000 or $2,000, that's where I'm at. That's where I'm going to be happy. It's more a matter of getting a system, and that's kind of was the goal of it. Is okay, I want to be able to get out of this and know that what I'm doing is getting me out of that rat race before of looking at 20 different things. Like I know my strategy, my plan of attack. I have that baseline. Now we can start to enhance and iterate off of that. But what blew me away was I think in the first month I sent out a proposal that was like 8 to 10K. And it was like, whoa! I remember chatting with you on Slack. I'm like, I'm shitting my pants right now. I can't believe I'm sending an 8K proposal right now.
Yeah.
And that was when that happened. It was kind of everything culminating together. It's like, all right, I've broken that barrier down of my personal thoughts and things that held me back. But now the fact that like I did such a little bit of work and I already got this result. Now we can put the pedal down and keep going with it. Like you said, we're halfway through it. I have a lot of work to do still. I think I'm just on that cusp of really starting to see massive results.
Agreed.
Because I mean, I basically times 10 what I thought coming into it, and I told you the other day, I'm like, I feel like I've done jack shit so far. I'm not even there fully immersed and really rolling with it, but I'm there starting the month of April. I can feel that kicking off. I
Yes.
can see that everything I've learned and kind of struggled through a little bit in the first month or so, that's now solid. The consistent content, what I'm doing, how I'm promoting myself, all of that strategy, I have that groundwork laid. Now it's just literally getting the clients and getting them into my profile, into my door, and talking to them. So it's really interesting from that standpoint to just reflect in the last 2 months or 3 months. Because yeah, I can feel whatever you want to call it, the universe. So I can feel it sizzling, and it's
Yeah, dude.
whether it's next week or in 3 weeks, it's going to happen, and it's because I have that foundation I'm just consistently building on.
There's a great Stoic quote that I love, and I think it reflects here. And I'm going to butcher this, but it's like the world will open its doors to let any man pass who knows where he is going. And like I think when you have clarity on exactly where you're going, what you're after, what you're trying to do, and you
Yeah.
just all of that effort goes into that pinpoint. And that pinpoint is just breaking through bulletproof glass because it has so much pressure in this small point. Whereas instead of just putting instead of being like an inch deep and a mile wide, we are going a mile deep, inch wide, and we're just shattering through like beliefs and results, right?
Yep.
So what's been your favorite part of the program so far?
Ooh. I think the my favorite part has been your simplicity to it. It really isn't, it's not some whole elaborate system or anything like that. It is really straightforward. And that's
Yes.
that's what I liked about it. It's not a complex idea at the end of the day. You're not curing cancer. Like it's not
I wish I
some.
was.
I mean, that'd be sick. Maybe we
Yeah.
can. Let's do this, and we'll get it. But at the end of the day, it really is um, a simple idea. It really is. And like you said, that analogy, you're going a mile deep on an inch wide hole. That's really where it was. And before it was my aspect of, that just cast the net as large as you can. All right. But it's not actually helping you gain traction. You're constantly just one step up, one step down with it. So that's been my favorite part is just the way that you've been able to take such what seems like a large complex thing and just funnel it down to kind of a simple principle and process in that sense. That's been my favorite part because it takes the worry out of it of what am I going to do here? How's this going to work? How's that? It's no, you have kind of your lane that you need to stay in.
Mm.
And that's been really my favorite part to it is that I'm not going to have some kind of massive curveball thrown at me, and it goes that way. Beyond that, I mean, you're just an absolute genuine person, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Just
Thank
the
you.
conversation, seeing you in a group setting compared to one-on-one calls, Ben is Ben, and it translates the content you put on your socials and everything. Like you are legitimately that same person everywhere you go. And you see so many people, and I've talked to some of these other coaches that you see their profile. It's like, wow, he seems like a great person. You get on there, and he's just some fucking jagoff, like.
Yeah.
It's that's been the best, and really again what kind of wanted me to come back on a second phone call and work with you was that aspect of it, is that you truly do care, and that it's not just a numbers game to you at the end of the day. You want to help people grow. You can see the potential in it. I think the fact that you don't just take anyone in. I can see the
Yeah.
other guys coming in the community that they are a certain caliber, and it gives me more confidence because I lack the sense that I thought I was at a certain level,
Mm.
and I can see it's like, all right, well, if I was, if I came back on that call and you didn't think I was a good fit or it wasn't going to work, we wouldn't be here today. So there's that level of confidence that I gained because, like, all right, he entrusted me. I can see the other guys that are coming in, what they've been doing. Some are miles ahead, have way more years of experience, but I'm in that same ballpark as them, right? I'm in that
Exactly.
same caliber, and that was huge. That was a real big eye opener, I think, to really want me to keep, reinvesting and pushing it and not just letting this fall apart realistically.
That's the amazing thing about videography, and also the weird thing is like once you hit a certain level in skill, it's diminishing returns. It doesn't matter how much better at the camera you get, how much more kit you buy, the lenses
Yeah.
you acquire, the courses you go on. Like none of those things are going to help you grow a business and get more clients. You have to focus on the business side, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And that was really kind of another epiphany, I guess, if you will. Like I said, I started from the sense that I needed to be a company, and here's my company, here I'm doing this. But at the end of the day, anyone can pick up a camera and run around with a camera, right? You really are. You're a business, whether your name or some other kind of tagline to it. You're a business, and you're doing sales and marketing. That's what you're doing. You're fostering
Yep.
relationships. You're building connections. They have a problem. You have a solution. Your solution just happens to be a camera, and that, kind of thinking through that. That really is what changes. It's not just I want to make cool videos. That's all fine and dandy. You can do that. No harm, no foul. But how are you going to sustain that? How are you going to build that into a scalable system and business? And that's what I wanted to do. And I came
Yes.
into it thinking I'm a video guy. I can do this for you, that for you, this for that. And it just, again, it gets too much going on at once, and you can't focus on something to make yourself scale.
How do you think your mindset's changed from like who you were before you joined, like the days leading up to joining, to now?
Oh, I would say the biggest thing is confidence, 100%. Um, I was so nervous coming into it. Like I knew that I had to do something. I was kind of at that point that I knew I had to do something if I really wanted to make this work. So I knew upfront I committed. I'm committing to doing something. But there was that nervousness of the sense of the unknown, like what is going to happen? How's it going to work? But confidence comes from doing. That is the best way that I can bring it out. So
Hell yeah.
you have to do it. You have to, like you said, you have to put in those inputs. The more inputs you have, the more outputs you're going to get. And that is another mantra that I keep with it too on a day-to-day basis. If it's a day that I don't want to do something, I know that input's going to help me 10 times versus not doing it. So it's I've joked, I've kind of called you like a second therapist, like it really is. You're not, telling me how to deal with my personal life, but at the same time, those principles apply. You have to be self-aware and put it in, and it's
Yes.
only going to work as much as you put into it. And it's not, there's no magic pill, there's no, silver bullet. I mean, if that was the case, everyone would be doing it, everyone would be scaling, everyone would be going out of control, but they're not. And the biggest factor that I've come to realize is that it comes down to you individually. How bad do you want it? How much can you discipline yourself and put it into it? And having a structure is what it is. That's what you're providing. You're providing that guidance and that structure to do it, but it's on me to want it, accept it, and actually go with it. So the
Yeah,
fact that
precisely.
I did that for myself, that's where it's at. I have the confidence now. I know that I can do that because I know where I've been. I know what I've gone through. I know how long I've thought about this without taking any kind of action. So now I just got to the point of, but what do we say? I got the sign on my wall. Let's get scrappy. Get
Hell
scrappy,
yeah.
go into it, and just make it work and make it happen.
So, and
You
in
know.
terms of like, and I know it's still early doors, but have you landed any new clients, any new work since joining the program?
Yeah, I have. I have. I've sent out a handful of proposals, quite a few. Didn't lock in quite as many as I wanted to, but again, before today, it was never. I've never sent one out. It was word of
Right.
mouth. Hey, you do this stuff. I've seen you do that. Can you come film a video for me real quick? Here's $100. Here's $200. It was
Yeah.
that kind of starting artist game I was playing to it. I've locked in two solid clients so far. Um, Actually, one for sure. Another one I have on the cusp here with it, but I've taken payment. We got set up. I got actually next week a meeting planning to kind of brainstorm the next month's strategy of what we're planning out and doing. Um, and that's what's huge. That one client I landed paid for the coaching, and it's been sustaining me in my ads and building from there. So,
Fucking
um,
awesome.
that I never would have expected in 2 months realistically that would have happened. I was I was so concerned. I'm like, oh my god, I'm literally gonna drop cash and do this. And it's like I've been there so many times before, and I'm sure so many other people have too. But it's like when you realize that you need help, you have to commit to it. And it's like, here,
Yes.
I've committed. It's there. I can either just piss this cash away or actually use it and have something to build from it. So the fact that I have that, it just furthers it down. Now I know that I'm in a good space, that I have it covered, and it's just all building from here at this point. So,
Hell yeah.
yeah, no, I'm really excited for the month of April. March blew my expectations away again with one client. I wasn't expecting that. I thought this was going to take 3, 4, 5 months.
Yeah.
I landed one. I pitched 4 or 5 others. What one of the other ones is going to be a future client for sure. It's kind of a not right now, but he's going through a few things, so we'll get him going. But it's wild just when you get
What's
to that.
the plans for April then? Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, so my plan for April is 10K. I did roughly about 5 in March. I want to double it in April. I've got a proposal I'm sending out today that'll be about 5. I've got another one that I'm going to send out from a call I had earlier in the week. That one's about 2,500, 3,000. And then I've got a sales call actually booked later today after this conversation to hopefully pitch another guy. So in the first week of April, I'll have about 10,000 of proposals out,
Fucking right.
which is awesome, and yeah, if I can lock them and close one or two of them, I've hit half my goal in the first week of the month. So
And how
yeah,
does it feel now to have how does it feel to have a system where you can actually bring in leads that you can actually pitch to on a consistent basis rather than waiting for them to come to you?
it's it's a weight off your chest, because again, someone coming in a lead is not a guaranteed sale. It's not money coming in, but that one isn't the only one, right?
Mm,
I didn't hunt and shark for 3 weeks to get one, and then everything hinges on it, and all I'm worried about is this one. I kind of can take it a little more casually, right? You want to take everything
gotcha.
seriously, of course, to it, but that there's 2, 3 more coming. They're there already, technically. Through the system and the structure, it's, not everyone's going to come in directly ready to go, ready to buy, or ready to have it. So, but I have that system in place that I can nurture them so that in a month, in 2 months, in 3 weeks, they're going to see it, and here we go. So, again, coming from a sales mentality, when I flipped in the mortgage industry 4 years ago, I came in with a zero book of business. It took me 2 solid years to really get some traction for that, right? Because it was a great market, and then it completely crashed and shit it out. But I was there, and I had to stick with it. Um,
Yeah.
this is that same kind of mentality, but what I was facing over a 2 year period there, I've seen in about 3 months here, realistically. Um, you mentioned earlier, I'm doing this, and I'm building a business. I'm raising a family. I was working, or still am working, a full-time job on top of this, technically too.
Hmm.
So it's possible that you can put it in. It's not 80 hours a week, grind, grind, grind to do it. Obviously, the more time you can commit, the better to it. And after doing this for 2 months, I have shifted my mentalities. It was kind of an 80-20 split before, 20% putting towards this. I'm honestly, I'm now down to like a 50-50 split, because I can see the value and potential of what I've started building for myself, that I know that in the next 60 days, if I can double or triple what I've been doing,
Yeah.
I don't need to worry about that other job anymore. I
Nope.
like it, don't get me wrong, but it's an end means to an end, right? I'm not going to be there forever. Some people are like, Nick, you're walking away from cash. You're over there. It's in sales. You can make good money. I'm like, yeah, but that can end like that. I have no
Yeah.
control over it.
No control.
Mortgage market can crash. People go out left and right. It doesn't make sense for me. So that was the biggest reason I wanted to do this, was I need to have that control over what's happening. And if I have product or service that can pivot at any point in time, so be it. I'm working with
Yeah.
service-based businesses. Worked with a roofer. I'm working with these kind of guys. If something happens there, I can pivot and hell, I can go work with mortgage people. I can go work with real estate people. I have a system structure that I know what I'm doing. Now it's just finding that market that I want to go towards and double down on it.
How confident do you feel now with the systems and modules you have in place that you can scale the video company to 10K a month, 20K a month and beyond?
I feel really confident. I really do. I'll be honest, if I didn't land that first client and I was still kind of struggling to get that first one, I wouldn't be as confident. But it's again, you're getting that confidence from doing. So the fact that again, I was in that 80-20% mentality and look what I did. Okay, now as I'm starting to add more time and effort to it, I can see things building and what's coming to it. Again, I've got a
Hmm.
handful of proposals. I know my goal for April and let's hit it. I can see that building there, and the fact that I don't have to think twice about it now almost is kind of the biggest thing. I'm in my groove. I'm in my rhythm. I know what I'm doing. I got my system set up. I got my leads coming in.
Oh yeah.
It's just capitalizing on it more. Yeah, and it's not necessarily like a one fit approach either that you taught. We've gone through a few different aspects. There's kind of that core Instagram ad, local, targeting aspect to it. But what's huge with that is it's not just make a piece of content, put some posts up, and people are going to start flocking to you. The biggest thing is, there's that whole setting aspect. How are you handling the leads when they come in? Is it someone just liking your comment? Is it someone or liking your post? Is it actually someone responding to your ad? Understanding that any kind of interaction with what you're doing, that's a lead right there.
Yes.
And coming from a sales background, I'm a cold salesperson, right? I'm cold calling, I'm prospecting on LinkedIn, and it's all cold outreach. The awesome thing about this is everything has now become a warm lead.
Yeah,
Because
it's so much
they're
nicer.
literally interact again. Just because they liked you doesn't mean they want to come and get your services, but they came to you. You didn't force yourself into their space. They're now
Yes.
in your backyard. So that's really cool, and that's kind of where I'm at right now, and why I'm excited because I now have people. I like this analogy. I have people coming in my backyard for my party. Let's go.
Yes,
I'm
exactly.
I'm looking at it that way. I'm not trying to peek over the fence and say what's going on. Can I hop over and talk to you? It's
Yeah.
you're coming into my yard saying this looks pretty cool. What's going on? And
Have a few beers and maybe buy from me. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
absolutely, absolutely. And I've had some conversations with people that it's like, wow, this is great. I can't do it right now for whatever reason, X, Y, Z, but they're still commenting on my stuff. They're messaging me, hey, this is a great video. Thanks for the tip. So
They're still at the barbecue.
they're still there. They're waiting for that steak to come off the grill, and then they're
Yeah.
gonna they're gonna dine with it. Um,
How do
and
you feel now as a videographer that with your offer, you're actually able to offer something that has tangible results ROI instead of just like pretty videos?
you know what that is really what gives the confidence to selling and talking to these people, because
Mm.
before it was, all right, well, what do you do exactly? Oh, well, I can make you a video, or I can do this, or I can get you this ad, we can do it. It was never a concise idea, right? It was kind of like, all right, well, you can do 9 different things. Well, what's your A package, B package, C package? Like it got into that game with the people I was talking to at first, and then it was like, all right, well, why do I need the expensive? Why do I need this? Why did that? It got too cumbersome. They were confused. They didn't know what they were actually getting at the end of the day. So now it comes back to, okay, our offer is, we can tweak it, we can change it, of course, but you're giving them a full solution at the end of the day. I'm not just making a pretty video. I'm going to make you the video. I'm going to script it. I'm going to shoot it. I'm going to edit it. And then I'm going to put that ad out there for you. And at the end of the day, it's going to work because guess what? It's what I'm doing for myself. And here you are talking to me. So
Hmm.
that's been the coolest thing, is I never had that before. It was that cold call, that, hey, let's talk, and the kind of that pressure, get on the call. And now you're on the call and it's like, okay, well, what am I going to offer you? Well, yeah, you can go through the sales process and talk to them, but you didn't have that built up before you started talking to them, right? So now people coming into me, they see what I'm doing. I'm doing the structure that basically I'm going to help them with. It all
Yes.
it all coincides together, and that's really been the biggest piece to it. Is you're practicing what you're preaching, I guess, at the end of the day. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. If you have if there's someone watching right now who's on the fence or I'm an ahhing about not necessarily joining my program, but a program in general to get help, what's your advice to them?
Oh, get help at the end of the day. I again, I've gone through so many um whatever ads approaches. I've seen so much about this. It's you didn't reinvent the wheel. You're not the only coach out there, right? There's a lot of people, a lot of good people out there doing it. But at the end of the day, if like I had the realization I needed to do something,
Mm,
I needed to take action. I've been treading water, I've been doing whatever, and I've only gotten so far. Something has to happen. So you need to have somebody that can be there with you. Whether it's hold your hand or just give you that guidance, you need something. I mean, I joke that you're like a second therapist, but it's if you've never been to therapy or you're in therapy, whatever it might be, just having someone to talk to
yeah,
is huge. And especially someone that's lived it, breathed it, done it, and is now moving on with it and having that success. You just feed off of that. You're a circumstance of your environment. If you constantly hang out
proximity.
with people and others that are pissing about that, oh, this doesn't work, that doesn't work, get yourself out of it. And in my experience, you don't want to pay for it, but if you have to pay for it, what's it going to do for you? Yeah, I made
Yeah,
the investment now, but like I said, after a month, I've recouped that investment. Now it's all just a cherry on top from here, and that was my biggest hesitation was I'm going to invest this money and I'm going to get nothing back from it.
yeah,
And at the end
which
of the
is everyone's
day,
worry.
well, and that's everyone's worry, but at the end of the day, if that happens, it's because it's my own fault, right? I didn't do the work to it. And that's kind of what's been refreshing is you can see, okay, if I feel like something's not working, and we've talked on calls before, I was like, yeah, I'm doing this, I'm doing this strategy, and it's just not working for me. And you're like, all right, well, let's go and talk through it. Like the content's there, it's what this isn't a a content problem, it's a Nick problem. You didn't reach out to these three people or talk to them, or you thought that it's like, there you go, I got my own way again. So it's
Yeah,
I think that's what it is if you're on the fence, you have to really first take a look at yourself. Do you really want this? If it's a yes, what's stopping you from getting it? And if getting help from somebody and working with somebody that can truly help you build that foundation and that structure and system, that's worth its weight in gold, right? Because at the
yeah,
end of the day, I think if a lot of folks like me, like I'm not trying to be some $50 million business and do all that. Like I have no ambition to do that. If someone else does, that's awesome. Go for it. But I mean, if I can build myself to 200,000-300,000 a year, that's kind of my goal. But that's my goal right now. What happens when I hit 200,000-300,000? Is it going to go to more than that?
probably.
Probably, right? But my point is if okay, this year if I can make my goal was with you, it was 50,000. I needed to dig myself out of a $50,000 hole, right? So if I can make 50,000 bucks, I'm set, and now I'm building on top of that.
Yep,
So what
exactly.
is it worth for me to have something to do that?
Yeah,
And a couple $1,000, whatever it is that someone has to invest, it's going to pay for itself in the end because not only is it helping me now, I now have something for the future to scale on.
yeah,
This
exactly.
isn't just a one and done thing. You have to keep building with it, and it's something I have to remind myself every single day. You have to wake up and willingly and consciously choose this is what I'm doing.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I wasn't at that point a year ago. Nick was a different guy. I wasn't there. I had to get myself to that point, and now I have the help and confidence from you.
Well, now we've got Nick 2.0 in his final form, right? This is the
Let's do it.
exciting part.
Let's do it. New
Dude,
year, new me, man.
Nick, I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, mate, thank you. You've been such a real pleasure to coach. You've been
Thank you.
so awesome to work with. Your charisma, your humor, the things you've taught me about American culture. It's just been you've been such a joy to work with. And dude, like all the success you've had so far has been well and truly earned and
Thanks,
deserved.
man.
And you
Thank
have
you.
so much more coming. And this is really why I wanted to
That
do
makes me
one of
giggle.
this is really why I wanted to do one of these calls now because I know in another 6 weeks we're going to be doing another one and the results are going to be insane because you've really like you've put
Hope.
all the foundations in, you've done the work, and now it's just like okay, like you said it yourself, it just feels like we're ready to fucking pop at any moment, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
dude, I just want to say like I know I can speak for everyone in the community that you're such an asset to have here, and everyone fucking loves you. They all find you really funny as well on the group calls, in the Wins channel,
Thank you,
everything.
man. Thank you.
Dude, I'm so pleased you decided to join, and it's been awesome experience for me as well.
That's awesome to hear. No, it's like I said, I wanted to work with someone that was a genuine person. It's not just a system process. Get them in the wheel and churn. And
Yeah,
no, it really has been. I mean, not to be corny, it's been a life-changing experience, man. It
fuck.
really has. It really
Thank you,
has.
bro.
Um, yeah, I am just very grateful. I really am. At the end of the day, um, but whether like you said, someone else is out there, they can do it. It's there. But we clicked, we hit off on at the beginning, and again, I felt the confidence in you. You brought the confidence to it, and kind of instilled that in me.
Yeah,
No, it really has been such an awesome go, and I'm super stoked for what's coming here.
fucking
Um,
right, dude. It's
Dude,
coming.
I can't wait. Like part of me is like, there's that not apprehension nervousness, but there's that nervousness that if like shit, something's going to happen. Like
Yeah.
what though? And it's like I I joke with you on the manifesting thing. Like you got to manifest it, right? You have to
Yes.
put in the fact that that this can happen. And now I'm at that point, 2 months, 3 months in. It's like I know this can happen because I keep going back to what little bit I've done so far. I have so much more to do, but look at the little bit that I've been able to do and what I've gotten out of it so far. And it's just it's you have to keep riding that momentum train and seeing it. And you're gonna have fallbacks, you're gonna have issues, whatever it might be, but it's cool. Take them in stride. That great, that didn't work, or this isn't it. Move on to the next one. I'm running an ad right now, and we were talking about it. It's like, wow, this might not be working, but really it is working. I just need to double down on it. Like you have to keep putting back into it. It's not going to be a do ABC, you're off to the races. Nope, it's not there. But
Daily
again, it's
inputs.
all building for the future, man. So no, thank you again. I really appreciate the kind words, and it's been an honor to be able to work with you, the community, and
Fuck yeah.
yeah, I can't wait for 6 weeks to do another one of these and be like, dude.
Hell yeah, dude. Probably be a few more guitars on the wall by that point as well,
Yeah,
but
yeah, we'll add the collection back there. We've got a couple more jerseys on the wall, and we'll make it happen. I'll get my wife another office so she can stop working back.
oh, Nick, thank you so much for your time, man. I really, really appreciate it. And yeah, dude, thanks again for the call. This has been awesome.
Awesome. Thank you, man. We'll talk soon.